Anyway, hello everybody.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. So how are you? Hi, Mila.
Hi.
She said, Mila, you sounded like you were purring. Hi.
Yes, I'm curling up on the sofa.
Totally sounds like it.
I have your artwork there, Tammy, in the background. Looks nice.
Thank you. That was, it's simple, but it was the first piece I did as a constellation of color. It's a representation of the alphabet code.
Oh, very cool.
Anyway, please check in, guys. I'm having technical problems. I'm looking a little distracted. Or at least that's my excuse.
Okay, I'll start. I'm happy to be here. I was excited to see this particular experiment happening.
Oh, good. Hi.
And we're doing a check-in, Frankie Lee. And it was 122 degrees yesterday. So it was very hot, and I'm staying cool. That's my check-in, and I'm sticking to it.
You are cool, Letitia.
It is.
Everyone, I'm freshly out of sleep, but it's nice to be here. It's good to see everyone. I'm excited to dive into purpose. And so is Chili.
Hi from Berlin. Heine speaking. It is only the second day we have some hot weather. I'm also having technical problem with my Wi-Fi, but I'm happy to be with you.
Hey, Joachim here from Brooklyn, New York. Seems like the weather is having an impact on our connections today, everywhere. I had the opportunity to go to a Sigur Rós concert over the weekend. Sigur Rós is an Icelandic band, and they're doing some incredible things, and it was a cool concert, very immersive.
Ron, go ahead.
You go. No, you go. It's all right.
I'm still in Chicago and been offline a lot. I've been just doing more things because my wife had surgery and she's recovering pretty well, I think, and I'm just doing more stuff, errands and things that she might have done, I guess, and we're doing fine. And I guess summer is really here, but we already had our heat wave last week, so now it's cooling off a little.
I'm in Colorado, and I am completing where I'm being hosted tomorrow. Have put out the word to find my next host place and meeting some neat people. It's challenged. You'd think after 150 times I'd be just lined up, but it mostly has to do with other people's opinions and having to duck and weave my particular journey, not being held inside of their ideas of not rant or whatever. And So I'm doing the best I can with that. But the thing that's exciting me the most, and I'm now getting ready to go back to California, however that works out, is the Oliver Stone interviews with Putin. And I highly recommend them. I invite a conversation around them. I feel like he's doing a fabulous job of opening up. We need to get to know one another, which of course is my whole advocacy. So that's my check-in. Oh, and I said it because I know him and I plan to reach out to him.
Right. I'm doing all right here too. It's a hot day in Toulouse. When got a massage. Otherwise, I'm not gonna go outside. I'm a little stressed about having technical difficulties. At some point, I should work out that issue because it's always a problem for me, and I should somehow know better. But I don't know. Anyway, a couple more people. Simon, Luna, how are you guys?
Simon, Luna, and Mila, we're awaiting check-ins, and if you want to pass, just unmute yourself and say pass, okay?
Okay. I was going to say pass, but now that I'm on, just basically, I'm purring in the sofa because it's been a grueling few weeks from early AM until midnight. So I haven't been online, similarly to Ron, because I've been so busy, and I don't know if anyone knows about what happened at London recently with all the terrorists, and also this big, huge block of flats of 200 people that burned down in an instant. So there's about 100 people displaced, 100 people burnt alive. Wow. During the time they were sleeping. And I'm being asked to work with the government and the community to co-create an independent panel. So that's why I'm purring today, because I just need some self-care and take time out.
Thank you.
Simon, Luna, do you want to check in or just pass?
Hi, everyone. Good morning for me. It feels early today. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm just exhausted today. So I'm happy to be here, but I don't have many words. So I think that I'll pass on the check-in and be presencing with you.
Likewise, I'll pass.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the subject matter. I'm a little worried about my technical issues in that part of it is to split up into groups. And my main computer is right now inaccessible. I'm on my iPad, which doesn't seem to have the buttons for splitting us up into groups. So I'm not totally sure.
What if you just leave it till next week, Flemming, so you don't have to be stressed?
Well, yeah, then we need something else to do. We can work on purposes in a different manner.
Can I suggest, I mean, you could also assign the hosts that could do the breakout rooms. I don't know whether that's possible.
Yeah, in principle, Tammy is co-host. Do you, Tammy, as co-host, see any buttons for, what's it called, for
breakout rooms?
For breakout rooms.
It should be next to the record and chat, Sammy.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I don't actually see it there.
That is a little weird. So I'm sure that could be fixed if I could manage to log into the website, which I can't right now.
So I'm just,
Yeah, in that case, Flemming, we might have to change the format.
Okay, we'll change the format a bit. I suggest we do something very similar, but maybe we do it as a group and we try to help each other make it happen. So to follow the format a bit, I'll start with a brief intro, meditation, getting present kind of thing, and then we will move on to seeing how our purposes match and so forth. So in order to do that, I invite all of you to just find the chair you're sitting in, or whatever it is, the floor under you, and just gently relax and take a few deep breaths. Just notice where you are, and in particular, notice your body, notice how you feel. And as you're breathing and becoming present, I'd like you to notice and be aware of that there's something unique. There's you here. There's an energy, which is you, and the way that you're showing up, that's moving and vibrating in a certain way that you probably know very well, but that might still be a little bit mysterious to you. There might still be things to discover about it, but you're here and you're showing up for something. There's something that's driving you. There's an energy, there's something moving you, and you can feel and sense that. It's something both complex and simple that's moving through your veins, that's vibrating and emanating out of you, and you can sense that. And you don't have to completely understand it, but you can certainly feel and sense what is there, that which is you. And that there's a purpose to it. There's a reason for you to be here. There's a reason for you to be on this planet. And there's also a reason for you to be here right now with us together. And as you just gently become aware of that, you might notice that there are others here. You might look at us or you might keep your eyes closed. It doesn't really matter, but you can sense that there are other individuals around. The rest of us are here too. And each of us has a different feel, a different energy, and probably a slightly different purpose. We are here for maybe different reasons, but we're also here for some of the same reasons. But you can certainly notice that there's a different vibe, a different flavor to each of us. And as you gently reach your energy out and touch each of us, you might notice there's a different response. There are different things that resonate and harmonize, other things that maybe don't, but there are some things that match and that connect and that vibrate together. And that through all of that, various constellations of us here who are present together can find harmonies and connection points and common shared purposes. And that by sensing all of that together, several groups of us, 2 together, 4, 3, 5, all of us here together, it creates a certain constellation of energy and of purpose. And even though we might not be totally clear yet on what it is and why and how, we can sense that it's there. There's a complex pattern, there's a connection, there's a shared something that's moving through all of us. So as we all keep sensing that somewhere, somehow, in our own body, in the space between us, we can stay aware of that as we start talking and maybe trying to put into words what our purposes are and what our shared purposes are. So just keep that sense of the underlying energy of you and of all of us and of all of us together. And now, whenever you're ready, open your eyes if they aren't open already. Look at the rest of us. Sense the rest of us in our shared space here. And we are here to try to express our shared purposes, or our own purposes and our shared purposes. We had a slightly different program in mind, but that doesn't really matter. So we can maybe explore the exercise on whether we can take two people here and they can express their purpose for being here. And we can maybe together see if that can add up to a shared purpose and how that works. And depending on how well that works, we might proceed and do that with more pairs, or we might do something else.
I can go. Is it
Okay, yeah, we can take you and we can take one other person.
Or maybe have the second person volunteer after they hear me. What do you?
That's a possibility. Well, that's one way. So yeah, we could. Okay, Tisha.
No, Tammy raised her finger.
I
Okay.
You raised it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Tammy
see everything.
volunteered.
I'm on a little screen, so
Okay.
sorry about that.
Tammy stepped forward. So it's Tammy and Frankie Lee. Essentially, we would like you, Frankie Lee, to try to express your purpose for being here briefly. And we'll ask Tammy to do the same. And then either you two together or us helping you will try to find out what your common purpose can be. So how about you go first, Frankie Lee?
All right. Well, I feel that my purpose is to bring conscious awareness into where we're creating from. I speak about it as a kind of literacy in terms of perception and how we create within a framework of being artists of life, and our being the artist, our life being our art. So when I look at where people are creating from, I find a lot of it is conditioned thought. And so I like to distinguish the difference between when we're on automatic popularized thought and actually being able to be sourced like we have today, by going into a quiet place first and really being able to come from that place. And I find it's sort of a route into freedom, and true freedom. Freedom that affirms connection that's a key part of it. Really working with nature and natural living systems. And that's a pretty good take on it. And I also, I really believe that we all have gifts, and I create space for people to bring their gifts forth and affirm their higher nature and do my best to not buy into their lower self's insistencies. I'll hand it over to you, Tammy.
Well, I resonate with that in terms of, it's interesting because I would use slightly different language, but I feel like, yes, my purpose is to midwife a higher purpose through interacting with people, through having conversations, through being present with and feeling together, and using tools to be able to hold a higher vibration and articulate that with others. Specifically, I feel that we are at a time when it's required that we use the tools of consciousness to be able to communicate a vision of how we can transition from where we are right now in terms of the very challenging stories that are informing our reality through our current state of media, and shine the light on people and projects that are designed to help to transition us to that other place. And that place is not really other, it's here. We just need to see it and focus our attention on it. So my purpose is to be a participant and to dream into, and oh my gosh, to dream into what that space is together, and to learn how to think together, to learn how to be in common space and share our knowledge, our hearts, our purpose in ways that can be received by others, connected to by others, and can help to model what and how we communicate together and experiment there. So the conversational experiments for me are a really profound place to be able to come together with people that are conscious and working on their ability to communicate and be present with an emergent reality between us.
Lovely. Does it make sense to ask the two of you to work out what's in common there?
Sure. Well, I certainly heard media, as a framework, that's a place where some of the things I shared are being propagated, and what Tammy, spoke to about what's most prevalent out there. I similarly feel like my purpose is served being here with this group of people, in part because I feel that this shared aspect is what will allow us to have more consistency, you know, in the world where we do meet up against that. So that building relationships with people that have similar purposes and commitments, you know, is a wonderful environment to have for oneself. And I think so integral to, you know, and conducive. We didn't actually talk about all the forms that it takes, but the essence is what we're getting to today. And I think that that shines out as it has any time that I've heard Tammy speak before, but particularly by putting the orientation to it today. And you, Madame?
I feel the resonance, and for me, the piece of media is important, but it's only capturing a vibe. It's only capturing a moment that we can then reflect on and learn from and share, if that's chosen. But I think what's more important in a way is that we, or not more important, but it's more about the action of connection and learning how to communicate. It's interesting in this moment because I feel like we're saying the same thing through slightly different languaging. It's not different. There's no, it has perhaps a different perspective, but the core feels very solidly the same thing. So in myself, I'm like, well, while ever I might express it differently in words, it feels like it's the same. It feels like it's very much the same in terms of who's seeing the people out there and witnessing how we are moving within the same purpose according to our perspective. And I think that the multiplicity of perspectives is really important for us to understand both how it's the same thing and also that we express it differently. And I'm excited to find ways to be able to celebrate that. And because I think that in the ways that the world perceives things as dual and as things that could be, well, if it's this, then it's not that. I think that we need to build the capacities to be able to feel that what we're talking about oftentimes is a tapestry or a wider view or of something that is connecting all of us with that common purpose.
And feeling, you know, you said it many times, you've used it in your sentences and all. I feel like if I were to, you know, reflect on this co-opted thought world, it really is being disassociated from the feeling body, you know. So it's like if we're really in a feeling way, you know, aware of our connection of all things, to me, that's the most primary. It's, you know, and it does inform whatever the forms are, you know, but the forms are secondary to it. So I agree to that. When I speak about media, it really, for me, it's because I know that I can reach a lot of people and I have a certain understanding about how to bridge it to a mainstream. And so I find it a main driver for me and purpose for me because of that, you know, that it's something I can be responsible to. But it's clearly being on the road and living with people is the living of it. And my purpose in taking it out that way is to show people that it's doesn't need to be a concept or something we're working for in the future, but something that we can really step into and embrace and be exemplary of now, you know, exemplary even in the stumbly bumbly part of it, you know, which comes with taking these steps, you know. So feeling is very much at the core of it, you know, that we have a wonderful opportunity as human beings to really embrace the experience of being in the feeling world, you know, and to have it be a guiding force for us. You know, I feel like the travesties in the world couldn't possibly happen if we really felt connected, you know, and that's so, that's the cause, really, you know, is to reconnect or bring the connection where people didn't get it. So we can then, and why I brought up the Oliver Stone interview was because he's demonstrating, you know, meeting and getting to know someone that we've so objectified, you know, as other. So often we do that with people. So the feeling is the way in.
Mila had her hand up.
Oh, sorry, I'm not seeing everything on the iPhone, so always tell me. Thank you.
I was just
No problem.
curious to know from both of you, Tammy and Frankie, with regards to the purpose, what particular needs or values does it meet or fulfill for each one of you? So maybe from that perspective also, one can see which ones are common. So if you could identify behind each of your respective purposes, what particular needs or values does it fulfill for you?
I think I relate to purpose more from the standpoint of what's natural, you know, so it fulfills on what's always been natural for me. You know, I've always been a congregator. I've always been a team-oriented person. I've always been, you know, in an environment of powerful and good and true communication. You know, in some ways, I feel responsible to my privilege. If someone wrote me about a tribute I put up about my mom online, and you know, I said something about how privileged I was to have an atmosphere of these kind of principles. So maybe my value is to really affirm that what, you know, I've been given and what I'm privileged to, that it seems a lot of people have not had access to, and I would like for them so they can have the loveliness that it brings.
So the values that like there's value and then there's values that inform and then need. Sorry, just a little clarification.
So needs are like, there's the Abraham Maslow needs, right? So there's survival, food, and then there's belonging, love, there's self recognition, self-acceptance, self-actualization. Needs are something that just drives you, as well as values. Values is for freedom, you know, for love, for belonging. So you do things, it drives you, it inspires you, it motivates you. Whether you're paid or not, you could work 24/7. It's a recurring value rather than a aspired value. So it's something you've seen in yourself that has been going on for all your life. It's repeated. You see that again and again. So like with Frankie, her value is sharing what she has had to other people, for people to experience that. And if she could translate that into one word, what would that be? If that was a need or a value. There's a list of values that you can have, but it has to be from your own wording. Because
I would say that I don't do that. So I can't really relate to it. I don't group things and define things and split them apart. I'm always trying to kind of go back the other way. Oh, am I not?
That's fine, Frankie, because that is a value. Basically sharing what you've felt that you've been privileged is a value, but that's a value of what inspires and drives your purpose, but also that's the giving. So what is you're getting back in terms of the fulfilling, but it isn't giving back like a transactional thing. It's just something, your very essence. How does that feed your energy and your light?
And I feel like what I was actually attempting to say earlier, but maybe the word would be authenticity. I just being me and having it be possible for people to be them is the only real value that I get. I mean, it's really that simple. Everything to me is glommed on top of it, and that's actually part of what goes on. So I really am trying to answer your question while
No,
dodging
Frankie,
at the
that makes
same
sense.
time.
No, that makes sense because you talked about being natural earlier.
Yeah.
So that's, natural authenticity. It doesn't matter. We get the essence. And I think, Tammy, you get the essence of
Go
what
ahead,
you're trying to
Tammy.
say. Does that clarify, Tammy?
Yeah, thank you. I feel and have for my whole life that there is an alternate reality that we're living in that I sense into when I meet people and really feel them. And what drives me is to make that visible and to experience it, to experience together that we share a common vision for a future, and that is something worth going through a lot of uncomfortable things for, and breaking down the barriers inside to be beautiful, to be a small piece of a large form that is getting to know itself and see itself. So what value that is there for me is in actually coming together as a group, as a team, to see ourselves and appreciate ourselves and know that together we are a beautiful representation of consciousness and life seeing itself, and that the action and the activity of connecting together and seeing each other and understanding deeper what our collective purpose is for me the pathway to a place we can create together through specific actions, through creating something greater than us in service to all of us. So I'm an example of a person that has lived largely outside of the traditional economic systems that exist around us. And I feel that it's important to me to create new pathways to be able to exchange value in a different way. And so I feel like I live in the world that we're creating already without the necessarily having the supports to live in that way yet, because we haven't really built it, or we haven't built it together. There are several different systems that are around that can be used to help to share value differently. And in a way, it's hard to talk about because it's not here yet 100%. It feels like it hasn't 100% landed. And I feel like I'm just one example of many who see another world as possible and am working really hard to do my part, and And so, and it's interesting, my breath has stopped. Like there's this place here where I'm like, I know that it's not about, it's about us. It's not about me. So when I go too far into me, I feel like I am not seeing what we need to see because it's a we. Although this is my experience and worth sharing. What I think has most value and the driving collective need is for us to really see ourselves where we are and what we can do to manifest, continue to manifest a transition of consciousness and human developed systems.
I'd like to invite other people to chime in because I feel like I've done a lot of talking. You're all sitting there so sweetly and patiently in the we space.
Well, I just want to say I find this really beautiful and probably meaningful for all of us, that there's actually a lot of value in just focusing on two people. And a lot of what comes up here, I certainly resonate with that. I mean, part of what I got that you had in common was a wish for practicing ways of showing up together, of media, of feeling together, starting to sort of model a new way of doing things and sharing that. And it's certainly, I mean, I'm here for that too. So I like how it allows the rest of us to sort of resonate and connect with that. And there are probably other pieces we can add in, but I'm certainly totally cool with that. And it makes sense why you're here.
We might also look at the challenges because, you know, I related to what Tammy said about, you know, being sort of in the new world, but what, you know, there's not all that much evidence out there or agreement. And I think that's kind of where I began, you know, when I was doing my check-in, you know, that I want so much, you know, for this greater ease and all in relationship that I have experienced with certain groups of people at certain times and dedication. And then I watch people waver, and the kind of violence that comes up in one-on-one, you know, experiences. And it's so right there at the surface for people, you know. And then I look at all the attention in the world on these large scale versions, but it's really right here that it can be addressed. It must be addressed, you know. So I find it challenging to be so exposed in a world where there is a lot of holding on to, you know, the mind, and you know, some of the things that are so insistent about the way it is and the way we have to go about things. So I can, you know, I felt that when Tammy was speaking, that yeah, we're out there on the red road, you know, and it does take something, and you know, and to be vulnerable and real about, you know, what we're actually experiencing in that way.
I'm wondering if we can widen the circle and just open to what others have resonated with. We've got about 15 minutes left in our time. And so I'm curious what was resonant for people. Certainly, but I don't want to, actually, Frankie, you suggested that we talk about the challenges.
Well, everybody could talk about any of what you're sharing. I think, you know, because so we can really bring it around. I'm all for that. Yeah. So I'm sure everybody's had challenges. We're all out there on the edge, you know.
Um, you know, I selected this particular experiment to participate in because I was very interested in aligning purpose. And what I see is the thread, even the most essential threads for all of us when we come together, is to be present in this moment embodied. So I would like to ask both of you if you feel as if in your sharing that you were fully embodied, because I sensed in myself as you were talking, really talking, not feeling an emanation through this force field. And part of why the experiment has been vital for me in this particular medium was to be able to use it and explore that deep connection and feeling a resonant field in the same way that my heart opens up when someone is sitting present in the room with me. Or even if I'm in a chat where the words I can feel coming across the screen are imbued with a sense of deep grounded awareness. I listened to the words that were being spoken, and I know that there was trepidation about sharing the purpose, shortness of time, whatever. But I really missed feeling the whole of you, Tammy, in the be speaking the words. Because for me, in the purpose of having the experiments are to really weave this exploration unlike any other. Not just theory, not just sharing, you know, a purpose, but being the purpose right here with me, like demonstrating it, not talking about demonstrating it. And that's why I chose this, you know, was to be able to witness that with people and be that for myself too, because I don't get a chance to explore and know if my energy is actually coming across on the screen, not just my face as a two-dimensional or my voice coming in your ears, but can you actually sense my beingness in the conversation? Because to me, that's part of what it means to actually demonstrate purpose, to embody it and to share it. So the up level of theory to me is being it in the moment that you're speaking it, not just speaking it, if that makes any sense.
Thank you, Letitia. I appreciate the invitation to really show up. And I feel that that is a challenge for me.
Because I miss you. So.
Yeah. Thank you. And and I guess part of me doesn't know how to do it exactly. So I deeply appreciate you showing up and saying, I've seen some parts before that I'm not seeing in this moment. And all I can say is in this moment is that I'm learning that, you know, this is what I need people like you to say, to call it out and say, and ask for it. And I don't know really how to do it. And I do at the same time. I feel like what part of what happens for me is that there's so much information, like there's so much in my head because it's been, 20 years of calling for this midwifing to come through my body. And it's hard to have, I'm having the experience again right now of not necessarily being able to translate with my mouth what's happening in my body.
If I may, just, I'm going to translate what comes to me, which is, you're not trusting what's happening in your body because there's nothing else you need to do because you are just being it. The challenge that I also see with you, Frankie, is that you're living it. So being it instead of talking about it, because there's the extension of creating community is that the elders get to be who they are so that people can feel and sense the real aliveness of that. And when people who don't understand what they're feeling are wanting to know what that energy is, they'll ask, I'm sensing something in you. Can you describe that to me? I feel those of us who are present on this call don't need to have explanation. I just need you to be you. I trust you 100% to show up. We've shown up here for a reason. And I just want all of you to be here. Because the 20 years, I totally believe you. You too, Frankie Lee. I totally believe you. I don't need any explanation. I don't need any theory. I want your heart, your vision, where you want to be with us right now, right now. Because I came to be here with you right now, not in some past story. Because each one of you, wherever you're sitting in your room, I miss you. I miss the connection of being able to have this place where I can come and just be me. You don't know anything about what's going on in my life, but where I am in my soul, this is me. And I need to have people who are equally willing to risk being their soul work with me, so that I can have the courage to be me. No theories, no excuses, know what I need to do, no talking for you. I just need you to just say, where are you right now? Because my heart feels so much love, and I just miss you all.
I feel more like singing than talking, like the talking will just take away from it.
I've spilled tea on my computer.
Oh, no. Tammy, I want you to know, and these are words, that your vulnerability actually does touch me. And I know it's been a big step for you. So I want to say that. Letitia, I am so glad that you've brought this to the fore. I'm feeling, the value and I can say, no, I wasn't fully embodying it. I'm in a mess this morning where I'm living in, and I was challenged, but I feel revived through this depth of connection.
Okay, I'm going to try. Don't mind me if I start blubbering away. What Leticia said was like an explosion in my whole body. Everything just exploded, hit all the right spots, and I'm sharing my tears of joy with all of you. I know exactly what you're saying. We have to be here now. Not what my purpose is going to be or is, although that's important. But when you embody it, you don't even need to say it anymore. It's, I don't know. Then what do we talk about? What I had this morning was a situation with my granddaughter and my daughter. We did something that we weren't supposed to do, got rid of furniture that we were told to get rid of. And now we're finding out that maybe she's going to come home totally pissed off that we got rid of the furniture without asking her. And it just threw me for a loop. I didn't even feel like coming to the meeting, to the session, and now I realize that's so silly. There's other ways to handle this, and this activity this morning has lifted me from that nonsense, basically. And I want to thank all of you for being here now. Thank you. I gotta go blow my nose.
I feel I don't know why and maybe it's just a story, but I don't know why I have this disconnect between what I feel and how I express, because I can feel it inside. It does this and it's no longer connected. And I say that maybe that's a story because I know that I do that. I do live as a connected person in my life. And I feel that we are a part. See, I don't know how. There's something that, as I'm communicating, I'm not able to stay with somehow. And I'm just feeling into that experience in terms of, this is what I'm here for, is to be together and to understand something together. And I don't know why it's so hard to be so embodied in that. And I feel like I am embodied in that, but that the communication isn't matching the embodiment. So I appreciate being able to be here in presence with you all and be witnessed in that.
Thank you, Tammy and Frankie. I almost feel like I can't leave the meeting anymore. No, I'm glued to my screen. What an ending. Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to give a general observation here, from someone who participated. I feel today like an observer, and maybe it's because of the format of today's session, right? What we've done is we put you two on a pedestal, really, right? And you guys exchanged some thinking and thoughts, and we were all bystanders, right, looking at you too. And maybe that created some additional tension here to perform on that pedestal, right? Which is never easy to do. And that's, Tammy, you mentioned something very interesting also, this me and we, gateway. And I feel you guys had to focus on the me side. What am I doing? What are my purposes? What I want to share with this group. What we usually do in our group here is we're more on the we side. So all of us are participants, right? All of us are in the now. But it was difficult today because of it was about you two, right? And then drawing us into the conversation is never an easy thing to do. So I just wanted to say what difficult role you had today. And I appreciate a lot that you responded to that so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I thank you, Joachim. I just wanted to say, like, while you, Frankie Lee and Tammy were doing your thing, there was a lot of things I connected with a lot, and some I didn't. But for example, with you, Tammy, there were parts where it really, the energy of how you were speaking really made me feel connected with something, felt an energetic sense of being there with you. At the same time, I noticed sort of a disconnect as soon as one tries to put it into words. Like, I spoke afterwards about it, and Letitia sent me a private message about that maybe I didn't necessarily talk from a we about it, which probably is right. I felt a little bit sort of from the outside about it. Like, here we're watching you having a conversation, even though it's about something that we feel and experience at the same time. And something that very much is what most of us here are showing up for. It's difficult to not then be outside because, well, it was like your conversation, it was your purposes. So I'm commenting on that as Flemming from the outside kind of thing, rather than being able to just step into the energy and just, it's just the fact of putting it into words. It's so hard to not instantly lose whatever you're talking about. Like, how the hell do you can you be in it while you're trying to find the right words? It's almost impossible. So we're struggling for it all the time, but most of the time, the moment we're saying it, it's kind of not there, and it sucks. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but just wanted to express that I really like, Tammy, where you're talking as if you're talking is not connected with your speaking. Well, a lot of the time it is. And some of the time it doesn't matter. Sometimes we connect with the feeling, even if the words go in a different direction, or the words might take us there. I mean, sometimes there's a part that makes it fit, even though it doesn't all fit. And it's like that for all of us, I think. It doesn't all have to beautifully tie together of saying beautifully exactly what we feel, but as long as we show up with something and we don't have too many expectations about what that needs to look like, I think we're going somewhere. So thank you.
So as an experiment, I actually really thought it was a great experiment with the bump in the road, because I feel like we got to go through a lot of different paces. And while I was disappointed about not being able to do the dyad, I still enjoyed this conversation experiment.
I'm really handed to the people who are, able to be listeners. I thought about you, throughout, and what it would potentially be like for me to be you. So it was going in multiple directions. I while we were speaking to ourselves, and with this one-on-one orientation, I was very aware that there was a held space of a caring group of people.
I think likewise to what Letitia said, I think it was perfect for what we needed as an experiment. There is certain learning for each one of us, whatever that would be. And that, I think the key word is the learning to move forward. And my intention today was just surrendering. So that's why I asked the question, because as I was surrendering, I was connecting, but then disconnecting. So it was like ebb and flow throughout. So I was just wanting to find something that I could resonate with when both of you talking or anyone was talking. And I just wanted to go right deep into what is it that makes you so inspired, that makes you alive in this purpose. And I just wanted to capture that. So in the we space, I could empathize with all of you. So that's what I was looking for. But I think like what Joachim and Flemming said, sometimes when we are the person that's being sort of focused on, there's a lot of sense of expectations, and that stops us from being us and being in the moment. And I'm saying this from experience also. And that's when we can't show up as ourselves and embody ourselves. That's the feeling that I get when I am. There's expectations on me. What are they thinking? What am I supposed to be saying? And it's not done consciously sometimes. And it's only in reflection that I feel it. So, I would honor what you've had to go through and give some self-compassion, because we're all humans.
I wish I could reach through and touch your little tears there, Tammy.
Well, thank you.
I just want to say that for me, this actually works quite well. This kind of format where we pick a couple of people to be up and to go through something or work something out, and the rest of us are supporting. I'm quite happy with that, but I sort of have a sense that some of us think that, well, it's either hard to not be the one that's it, or it's hard to be the people who are up, where I think it can work okay. This is more interesting and deeper than if we had tried to get through, let's all state our purpose or something, then we would have this listing phenomenon where we would be in line to say our purpose. It really worked better that two people were sort of working through it and went beyond the point where they had stated it and you agreed about it. We went beyond that to something that became a little uncomfortable, and that's where the good stuff was. So if we had just sort of left it at, yeah, you both want something with media and sort of showing up and then sharing your gifts, that's great, let's write that down and move on, that would have been okay, but not as interesting. It was more interesting to get this sort of messy feeling place where we both feel that, and then we want to go deeper, and we resonate with it. So I'm quite happy with this kind of format. I don't think there was any kind of problem with it.
I liked that when Letitia brought up what she did, I felt like that would be a good bridge from where we started, to set the tone, even if we were doing breakouts or whether we do it this way. It definitely helped me be more present going into any kind of, process that we do.
For me personally, when Letitia spoke, I didn't actually see the emanating waves of resonance, but I definitely felt it as she was speaking and making it more and more clear what you were saying, Letitia. I could sense the power of your words. They were no longer words, they were instances of verifications, clarification of who we are. When you said now, and it came out of your mouth, it was not just those words, it was now, and it went, and it reached me all the way to Canada. It was totally amazing. Now, I could say that's my interpretation, that's fine. But I'll be curious to see the reaction when we watch the recording of this. I think it's it's a really good learning curve of working towards that power, that your voice is not just a voice anymore. When it comes from your deeper, from your gut, and it comes out, it's not just a word anymore. It has all kinds of other connotations or energy. Their actual energy attached to it. I'll have to learn how to express that in words.
You're doing great. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it more from you than I have in all the times I've been with you, Simon. So absolutely, I think it's coming through.
Thank you.
So I think in all future experiments, we'll just start doing something fairly random, and then Letitia will yell at us and tell us to be present. How about that?
Believe it or not, there actually was a process of actually learning how to speak in a very specific way. So it's not just random, but it required a lot of practice. So, you know, it wasn't necessarily natural to me.
Chief enabler.
What?
I said chief enabler. That's Letitia's
role. Okay.
I will say, though, at the moment that I was speaking, the energy that was sort of coursing through me, I felt like if I would have put my finger to the screen and moved closer, each of you would have felt me touch you.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. And it wasn't because I was doing anything particular, but the energy galvanized so clearly for me that I could sense all of you. I could sense each of you, each of your energies, and it was remarkable.
Wow.
I really appreciated today. And yeah, it feels like being able to be parts of a body and with different ways of sensing and being. And it was interesting it was powerful to go into a feeling sense and be crying for much of this session and really feeling and opening that channel as being like just a part of what was going on. And for me, it was challenging to be one of two being focused on. And I feel like that was important to be able to constrain it, but that what I'm really yearning to experience is that we, and there is a we between two, but there was a circle being held, and that circle being held was informing it like the 90% of the iceberg that can't be seen. And I feel like there's a lot of power in that, in what hasn't been said in this circle, but is felt as being a part of it. And I'm really grateful to be in that field and to be pushed and invited to learn. And this bridge between of full embodiment in a non-local space is what I'm really putting my practice time into. And so it feels good to be here with you all and finding the ways to be as present as I can as I'm learning how to be more present. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Any final remarks before we start ending off the session?
That's great.
Just one for Frankie. My good wishes, and I'm sending lots of energy your way for the next place to be that's delightful and welcoming and spacious for you.
Thank you. And I could also come your way fairly soon.
I don't know so much. My brother is, I'm caretaking somebody who had a stroke. So that's, yeah. So.
Well, my friend Jade Wahoo invited me to Palm Springs, so it is a stepping stone possibility as I go to the coast. So thank you for that. I carry this energy forth into the day and you know, being present with everyone.
Great.
Good. Thank you all for coming.
Bye.
And we can, a few people can stay and talk about what's next afterwards, maybe, but otherwise, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Tammy.
Playing your part.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, guys, and see you next time.
Thank you, Frankie.
Bye.
Alrighty.
Yeah, everyone.
Bye.
I don't know how to get out of here. I never know how to do that.